Does heaven even exist? The more I think about it, the more I want to. And how do I even define what heaven is? Is it some supernatural, unfathomably beautiful haven of God? Or a state of the mortal mind? For all I know, heaven might just be an illusion, a false motivation to keep moving forward. And as I entered college, I have only realized it more. We humans are really just barbarians at heart, scouring for every last bit of reward to please our mortal mind. Looking for any purpose really to our directionless endeavors. For some, the reward is food. For some, money or fame. For some, it's those extra 15 seconds of mindless scrolling. But above all, the one reward that all of us universally seek regardless is hope. A hope that whatever we are going through is in fact temporary. That it will all end one day and will be better. That all our pain is in fact meaningful. But is it? That's the question I encountered once I sat with myself in solitude. Life is really just a collection of such motivations, of such hopes, at different magnitudes and significances. As children, we are told by our parents to do a particular task, curricular or not, and they reward us with sweets or presents. As a society, we amplify this same phenomenon when we celebrate any festival. When we grow up a little, we are told to clear a particular entrance exam and be rewarded with a better future. But does that future ever arrive? One problem is always followed by another, admittedly more severe problem. That's part of growing up. And yet, we choose to be blissfully unaware of this simple fact, rooted in our own observation and experience. But then again, would we really even want to work hard if we were to consciously admit the fragile nature of our hopes? Most probably not. Imagining the same on a collective level, and our very society would fall apart. We really are just feeble minds in a tender body, being manipulated by a false hope of a better tomorrow, so as to be able to function as a unit. And this same hope, real or not, helps us overcome our fears by facing them head on. With that in mind, why would it be too big of a stretch to believe that the very concept of heaven, of God, and of life after death is another example of a manufactured hope? A hope to face our fear of death. A reason to believe that life itself, in fact, has a purpose. The more you put thought into it, the more you realize how much our mind tries to stray away from the ultimate realization of its discontinued existence. At the very core, we are well aware of our eventual death and our insignificance as an individual, but are yet somehow hopeful enough to not only continue to exist, but thrive. Our mind brilliantly paints with all colors of optimism on a canvas of nihilism. Our very lives are rooted in preparing for our deaths. Why else would there be any urgency at all to finish a particular task? It's because we know inherently that our time here is limited, that one day we would cease to exist, that someday we'll blink but only half, that someday or the other the world will forget us, just like the billions it has already forgotten. All our dreams, wants, happiness, sadness, grief, dismay, despair, hope, smiles, cries, laughs, efforts, relations, achievements, all dissolve down to dust at one devious stroke of the death clock. But as it's apparent from the very nature of it, such concepts are hard to comprehend, let alone keep track of for an entire lifetime. It's thus only natural for us to sway away from this ultimate truth and be a little too invested in our worldly affairs, and be predictably disheartened by its utter lack of order and direction. One way to deal with such trauma is to search for a purpose beyond the very existence whose end we fear. And evidently, such needs call for the most brilliant of minds to manufacture the very hope that would quench the thirst of ultimate knowledge of the masses. Thus comes in the idea of heaven, of a reward to death, of existence after existence. The barbarian within us would take the bait of the reward and die without fear. The perpetual recurrence of heaven to aid our elusive existence molds our minds enough to let go of its misery. Essentially, man is a slave to the pain in his own conscience. And it's evident right from an early age. We seek our heaven and associate it with what keeps us away from our misery. Kids wake up from nightmares, too curled up from fear, but still thankful they at least have their mother. Teenagers feel lonely, but still happy, for they at least have their friends. Adults feel the need of companionship and feel thankful, for they at least have that very companion. Elderly people who've mostly lived through all stages of hell while finding their heaven now lay on their deathbeds, fearing as they hear the footsteps of death getting louder, but still thankful they at least have a heaven to go after death. But do they really ever have any of it at all?